So welcome to a bit of a sketchbook review, discussion and tour. Got 4 sketchbooks, 3 different sketchbooks, all very different prices, different kinds of paper. And I want to show you what I've been doing inside them and why I like each of them, but which is my favourite, which fundamentally is going on holiday to me when Tash and I go to Japan later this year. So what have we actually got? Well, if we look, we have one very cheap sketchbook. This is from Hobbycraft. It's an own brand sketchbook, loads of sheets of paper, cheap paper, just normal like cartridge paper, so better than copy paper, but really just designed for simple drawing. Yeah, I have used watercolors, I have used alcohol markers in there, and it works fine, with a few drawbacks. We'll get to that. Next we have a Canson sketchbook. Now this is a thing of beauty. It's 300 gram per square metre, cold pressed watercolour paper. That's £140 watercolour paper. It's premium, it's expensive, especially when you consider the number of sheets in the sketchbook. But it's watercolour paper, it's really nice. Last but not least, we have the Stilman and Birn Zeta series. They have a few different series. I'll be trying out a couple of their other series in the upcoming few months. You can see this is lovely white, 270 gram per square metre paper. It's hot pressed, it's smooth, and it's designed for mixed media use, but it's been filled up with a lot of fun. So which is my favourite? Let's find out. Here is the own brand sketchbook, and I started it off just as a little doodling book, and you can see this is doodling a duck, a bird, a giraffe, a couple of people, and the sort of ideas like this continue. Here's Colin and I. Here's a little design I've done for a pin badge. Yeah, really simple stuff, but look, the watercolours work just fine on it. They work absolutely fine as long as you're gentle, because it's not watercolour paper, but it still works fine. Here's a silly one with Posca pens I just did in this cafe. Here's lots of one-line sketches. These are all things I'm doing to work up to a bigger piece. This is from reality. This is our living room. Again, just having fun, having a bit of mindful sketching in the evening. Lighthouse from my imagination. Betty from reality. This is a little sort of war memorial. And you can see Tash here, a little bit of tonal work with some alcohol markers. It does bleed through a little bit. They would bleed through watercolour paper as well, but it bleeds through a little bit. Some keys. Hopefully you get the idea. Loads of really simple sketches. You can just use this cheaper paper to play with ideas. The same glyphs, done very differently. Tash again. So I just basically sat down with this and drew what was in front of me. This is the view out of our conservatory window. Here, playing with the same ideas again. This is, I forgot what it's called, famous sort of castle in the north of England. Here, you can see watercolours. This is my mum, actually. She's got a walking stick, just really simple colours. And here, a simple scene from Chile, which I've actually used on YouTube before. It's one of the ones I like doing from memory, because it just, for some reason, it's seared into my memory. You can see here some of the disadvantages of the colour, or advantages, depending on how you think. So you can see the funny textures. This texture is really classic of cheaper absorbent paper. The way it's just slightly softly granular, the way it's got really crisp edges, which is really fun if you're expecting it. Can get a bit frustrating if you just want to sort of paint. Here again, working on simple ideas, and you can see the similar ideas with the colour. Trying to just soften it out a bit. Doesn't work perfectly. Again, playing, often I just play, because it's cheap paper, you can just go, right, to do the same thing twice, just play around with it. And loads more simple scenes. But what's really lovely about this being ring bound is you get 2 very separate pages. It's easy to do one, do another. They don't interfere with each other. The other thing which is really lovely about this is, although it's cheap, this paper does stand up well. Look, there's watercolour on it. There's a little bit of a bend, but not a huge amount of a bend. And you can really doodle away. It doesn't degrade or break even from lots of hatching and scratching. And this, I actually did this on a YouTube live, this one. I have enlarged this into a really big piece, almost a metre across, with lots of watercolour on. But these ideas are how I sort of went from nothing to something huge, which I think is one of the most fantastic uses of a sketchbook. These are all ideas as well which went in to that same piece. This is me having lunch. I actually was sort of sat in a really nice nature reserve going, I want to draw something, but I'm just nothing around me exciting. And I thought, you know what? Let's draw my foot. Why not? Here you might have seen these. These are drawn with Posca pens and some ink. And this was at the St Neots Fest. So I went around filming myself, sketching, drawing lots of things. And there was a thunderstorm, so the filming didn't go to plan, but I released it anyway. It's a bit more of a sort of vloggy video. I'll link that down below in case you're interested. This was there as well. Some people playing some really interesting old instruments. Someone serving some toasties from a food truck. And here we go, even more. Everyone huddling under umbrellas, and this is when the sun came out again. Nice bright yellow to show the sun. One of the weaknesses of this paper, look, so these are obviously done with alcohol markers. Alcohol markers bleed through at the best of times, and you can see they really bleed through this cheap paper. But nonetheless, quite happy with this. Fun little, call it still life. Same here, fun little still life. That's the same Coke can if you were wondering. Here, more fun. These are using the Tombow markers, which I did a video on recently. And I was just trying to experiment with really simple colours, really simple ideas. And then building up a little bit more here. This is just from my imagination. Again, using limited colours. I loved using the blues, for example, in the shadows. Betty with a pig, her favourite pig. This one I actually love. It's one of my absolute favourite sketches of recent times. And then playing with other ideas. Again, look, the paper really holds up well. It doesn't bleed through at all with normal ink. This is with a fountain pen just going and going and going. And it's crystal clear. This was the idea of I was just trying to go, ooh, big loops. And you can see I'll make little notes as well. This, put A3. This, put a video. So if you ever see me doing something like this on YouTube, you know where it came from. This is a bit of tonal sketching. So actually I was using this pen with some water, just really simple soluble ink. And then this is the same idea but with coffee. I think there's another coffee sketch coming up soon. Not yet though. This is something from my course which is coming up. So how to sketch people loosely. Actually coming up by the time I release this video. My course is probably live, so you can check out my new course, How to Sketch People Loosely. A bit like this, with some colours, doing some portraits, if you want to. Here, that's the other one with coffee. So this was my warm-up. This sort of, I wanted to build into that, but I must have felt it went wrong. I think it looks redeemable, but I must have felt it had gone wrong. And then this is my idea of building up the scene a little bit more. And then, what have we got? Some more doodles. I've skipped a page or two, I think. Some more soluble ink. Again, really quick ideas. Nice hand. This is also from my course, I think, How to Sketch People Loosely. Finally testing my new magic pencils, which these are magic. Perhaps that is also a nice little overlay for this video. These are magic. Sketchbooks are a little bit of magic. There you go, that's sort of sketchbook number 1. Hopefully you can see this is really cheap, but it works fine. Look here, quite layered watercolour painting. No, you cannot go mad with the colours in the water, but you can have a play as well. You can do silly things like this. This is my little mindful sketching. Creativity, coffee. I don't know what it means either. Anyway, so option number 1. Really cheap, really cheerful, but does the job. Moving on, something a little more premium. So this is Canson, a really lovely watercolour paper brand. And I do really like this, but I must confess already, I don't like this as much as the other ones. And here I was trying lots of little ideas. I think to get used to paper, this is the first time I'd used this sketchbook. And I sort of was fiddling around with other ideas as well to produce a video. This is from a video on YouTube as well, which is about simplifying. And you can just see it's watercolour paper. Like it's watercolour paper, which stands up really well. Even with really loose watercolours, it just sort of, it's great. It doesn't buckle. Just put one clip on and you're going to be able to produce some really lovely stuff. The problem is when I just want to sketch and draw, this probably cost me like 50p or £1 even, which doesn't seem worth it compared to having this. Whereas this kind of thing I think is really lovely, but I may as well have done it on a nice watercolour block. That's just my kind of feeling. I mean, I must say, if you like really nice watercolours, then this kind of sketchbook is absolutely for you. This is a really quick one. Again, a little bit of painting with coffee, splashing with coffee. This was from Bath, I sort of sat in Bath. Same here, this is also sat in Bath. This was before Colin and I's workshop back in June of 2024. Painting with coffee, again, sat in Bath. Little doodles, this was sat around with one of the people who come in on our course. Just having a draw of some people, some doorways. I actually started to feel a bit better about my sketching here. This is my mum. This isn't my mum. This is my mum drawing a bench, and then I had to go at the same bench. I had a nice idea that I'd pull these pages out and frame them as sort of contrasting sketches. I might still do it. And this is my mum doing the same bench again. Again, I guess this is what I'm saying. These are really simple. They didn't need expensive paper. It's what I had with me. Same for these little sort of studies on texture. Didn't need expensive paper, and I don't regret doing it on expensive paper. But it does almost seem a bit of a waste, doesn't it? It just makes me a little less comfortable using this. This great fun. This is using a bit of tape and then sprinkling loads of salt in to create a kind of dramatic scene. I kind of drew the scene in between all the tape and yeah, had fun. Now this you could not do in this. So this is where this sketchbook becomes amazing. Yeah, silly scene from my imagination, plus a bit of, this is sort of the clock in Prague on a big floating mountain, you know. That's what I like a sketchbook for. This is where I did take it on a holiday, and I wanted to show you this one because it's got some alcohol markers in there, and it only just bleeds through. So this is Tash and Betty. I really like this one actually. We were sat in the ship in Mundersley, it's the east coast of England. This is Happisburgh Lighthouse, just down the coast from Mundersley. And I really like this as well. These are the Tombow markers. They're so much fun. Really simple, isn't it? But I really enjoyed it. Here's our camper van that we hired. Again, there's Tash, there's Betty. Bright, fun colours. And we had a bottle of Prosecco in some ceramic camping mugs with some fun little fronds of grass up behind. And there you go, simple ideas. This is some crayons in there as well. Now this one I'm still working through, so more to be seen later. But I wanted to show you, just to show you how it held up to alcohol markers and the kind of stuff I like doing on my own as well. So there you go, premium option. It will be for some of you. This will be a really good option. Last but not least is the Stilman and Birn Zeta series. And sorry, my face camera's just decided to pack up and go home. But you can see this is interesting smooth paper, really makes the lines slippery but allows you to be really bold with them. I've actually had a lot of fun in this because I'm able to use Posca pens. They don't skip and jump, they create nice lines. I can use really fine fountain pens, I can use anything in there. The watercolours don't make it buckle much because it's still 270 gram per square metre. Now it is slightly absorbent. Remember the first sketchbook, our nice cheap and cheerful one? We said it had that absorbent texture. Maybe you can tell that here as well. Now, again, you can see lots of edges to the watercolours. As long as you're aware this is going to happen, you can work with it. Here, for example, I played with the idea by putting all the colour on one side. So I worked with the sketchbook. Equally, I used this a lot for more simple line work. Here's something from a workshop that we did in the Cotswolds, showing people the idea of different framings, different compositions. And then loads and loads of doodling that you might see some videos coming up about, where I just take the ability to do lots of lines really play with that. So this is a doodle I did with my mum and my grandma, sat around a table in near Cheltenham. You can see we're in a cafe, there's a coffee, that's my grandma's hand holding her stick. There's a man who was sat behind my grandma, just taking ideas from the environment and then abstractedly doodling around them. This is watching Top Gear, actually Top Gear on YouTube, one of the lorry challenge. This is a lorry, this is lorry driving Stig. This is the electrician's mistake, which I believe is coming out on YouTube, sort of how I proceeded through this bizarre sketch. These are little sort of playing with ideas again. And you can see lots and lots of this idea. This is from SKILLSHARE. Simple idea of building a city by moving around, creating all these little pockets, and then something emerges from that. This again, these are both. This is my brother, the coffee carafe, a cinnamon bun. This is a sugar pot, phone, all just taking ideas, people from in front of me and putting them into doodles. This is a bird, and that's Tash said, yeah, that's a bird. As soon as I put the eye on, she agreed. So I just having a bit of fun. Literally, that's what I'm doing. Here's another doodle. It's my hand. My hand fits like so, I think. And then I just drew a line and it became a doodle. I repeated that idea here as well. My hand turned into a doodle. Something I had real fun is sort of naming them all. This is called Tweet because lots of these little birds emerged along whatever this is supposed to be. It's called Bubbles. Because of all these little bubbles on top, and also because we were watching Taskmaster, and the episode had lots of bubbles in it. Here, this one, this is St Ives in Cambridgeshire, painted on plein air. Again, look, you can see that slightly funny texture. It's not unpleasant, it's just different. You can see lots of little edges to the colour. I haven't layered it a huge amount. There is movement, but not a huge amount of movement in the colour as well. The other fun thing though, because it lays completely flat, you can paint across these pages. So I've done the same here, painting across 2 pages. This is also on plein air, also in St Ives. So I was sat over here for the first one, and then you can see I was probably sat about here for the second one under this awning. And little doodles again, the beginning of a workshop. This is stood outside the apple market, which is part of Covent Garden. More Covent Garden. This is just a tower from the imagination. Not the best sketch in the world, but playing and having a bit of fun. I really like these. This is my brother sketching his dream. This lady stole 10 million euros from him in a dream. Where he got the 10 million euros from is another matter. These are some of my first doodles. I was trying to work out the processes, and you can see, hopefully, they're just not as interesting. I still quite like them, but if we just compare to something like this, skipping to random pages, these ones feel really deep. Not amazing, but they feel deep. These just feel a bit flat, a bit sort of, they're all on a plane. So I've been really pleased with my ability to sort of move and develop these ideas. This one again, quite fun, bit flat. I actually added a bit to it, time and time again, just came back and added a little bit, and it became a bit more interesting. This one, an empty page. Maybe we can fill that. Let's pick a nice pen. Here's the postcard. Let's draw another bird. So, here we go. There's another bird. Can't leave an empty page. So I thought I'd finish this one. Bird. There we go. And that's what I love about a sketchbook. You can just fill it up, have a bit of fun. I better not turn this too quickly, it will dry. Here we go, end of the Falcon. Just playing this one, I sort of had an outline which looked like the Millennium Falcon. Then it exploded. Some limbs came out of it, hence the end of the Falcon as a name. This, a nice little doodly sketch with some watercolour, done in a pub with some lovely friends, again on a sketching workshop. And this is Betty's Grand Day In. Again, that'll be coming out on YouTube actually, where we discuss Betty being relaxed, her favourite food, how she communicates with her tail, her being cheeky, the way she eats her food, her going through the bins. You'll get the idea. And there you go, that's the end. I haven't done the absolute last page because I often tend to leave the very first and the very last page is blank as a bit of a sort of clean slate. But hopefully you get an idea that this sketchbook can do everything. I have used one of these before. This is the Delta series. This is from ages ago. And I tried a lot more painting in it. And I did remember really enjoying this. This is just watercolours for the most part. Here's a bit of ink. Again, just watercolours. Most of this done on plein air in Greece when I was visiting a friend. This friend, there you go. And I really enjoyed this one as well. It sort of is why I bought this sketchbook, is because I just remembered finding this a lot of fun. You can see it handles colour really well. This one, I said it's the Delta series. You can see it's a little, what they say it's ivory. It's also got a texture, it's slightly cold pressed. Despite the texture, it doesn't actually handle watercolour fundamentally differently. It's still got that slightly absorbent nature. So painting with it is still something to sort of, for want of a better word, you kind of handle, you get used to it, you work around it a little bit. So I think I actually probably prefer this one, although I prefer cold pressed paper. I prefer that this is completely different, and so I'm really expecting it to be different, whereas this one I found a little bit off-putting. But there you go. There is a massive load of sketchbooks to tour through. Lots of ideas, hopefully, for not just what to buy, but what to fill your sketchbook with. And I'd be really interested in your thoughts. Do you prefer proper paper, expensive? Do you prefer cheap? Do you prefer... Actually, this is quite expensive, but there's a lot more of it. For me, going on holiday with me will be another one of these. I really enjoyed using it. It'll let me paint, it will let me doodle, it will let me not worry about doing silly things, whilst also being perfectly happy to produce nice paintings at the same time.